Hi guys, welcome back to the Heart of Ohio podcast. We're sitting here with Jill and Kevin, and these guys have an incredible story. I'm Jacob.
I'm Josh.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Jill.
We're all sitting here in front of their booth. Now, we've shown this booth in a lot of advertising and photos, and we get lots of comments about this booth specifically in the mall. So
everyone talks about this booth.
Everyone talks about it. So can you give us some backstory about what we're sitting in front of here?
Well, backstory. Basically, when I was a kid, I collected a lot of beer cans, bicycle stuff, just all kind of advertising.
When did you start? What age?
Well, I was about, I don't know, somewhere between 12 and 14.
12 and 14?
Yeah, we were dumpster diving.
Everybody gets
Last
the bug
week,
early,
same
and
thing.
everybody says they were dumpster diving.
Yeah, so we would go to the apartment complexes, and well, you can imagine what we dig out of those dumpsters.
I bet. You didn't drink any of them.
No. But and I started with a beer can collection.
Okay.
And had a buddy that was a friend of mine, and we got like 120 cans, and over probably a 2-year period, and we ended up selling that collection.
How old were you when you did?
Probably between 12 and 14.
You weren't drinking, I'm
No,
assuming, right?
no.
Okay, good. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
So 12 and 14-year-old, you and your buddy, you're collecting cans. You got
We just were
120,
fascinated with
140.
beer cans.
You sold them. How'd you do? Well, did you get much out of them?
Well, when we were about 15, we ended up selling the collection for like $140. And
That's probably a lot of money to you,
It was
right?
back then. It was.
Okay.
And then I don't know, you just get the bug and you just start collecting things before you
What'd
know
you go
it.
into next after the beer cans?
Oh boy, I worked a lot. I actually worked and I really until we got married.
So when did you guys get married?
1978.
78.
Okay, you knew.
I almost knew. I almost forgot.
I probably would have said it wrong.
Jacob, you
It's been
kind
a
of put him on the
long
spot
time.
there.
I know. Sorry about that. So you got married in 78.
Young.
Young. How
20
old
and
were you?
19.
Yeah.
Just 2019.
We dated
Yeah.
in high school on and off.
So you watched him collect any of this beer can stuff and while he was doing it, or was it
I knew he would go behind like the barber shop back. where we
dumpster
lived.
diving?
Yeah.
I don't know about this guy
And I
dumpster
know.
diving. That's perfect. Okay, so you got married. So as far as together, how did you get to this passion where we are now, setting up in front of a country store here? Like, how did you end up with this
Well,
place?
he had so much stuff at home. I said, "You're gonna have to do something with all this stuff.
So
We're not gonna
so
fit
you were
in our
just
house."
collecting it and filling the house up.
Yeah.
Well-
like our whole basement's done in Coke and
Okay.
beer signs, and our garage looks like a country store. You guys should come over sometime.
So you're having fun. You're having fun putting together these themes and collecting, and it's the
I like to
excitement
decorate.
behind
I
it.
like shopping, so
Yeah.
I'll go shopping no matter what. So yeah.
Oh, that's perfect.
Well, I think the other thing is we were so young and we really didn't have much money. And we moved 8 times the first 5 years we were married.
Okay.
So you can imagine we couldn't just go out and buy whatever we wanted. So we had to shop. And
sure.
a lot of times we'd end up in antique shops just like this.
Okay.
Trying to find, or garage sales or whatever, trying to find stuff for all those houses and all those places that we moved. We had to furnish them.
So
and
this
that
is-
was the only way to do it.
This
Finding
is something
deals.
interesting that I find that in this business happens more often than not is the reason that we have someone in a booth that's a specialist that's doing what you're doing is because you started collecting, you started building your collection, you started getting better things, and then you're like, oh, I got to get rid of some of the less things, and you get too much, and it's like, we got to do something. And so therefore you bring the love of your collection
Well,
into a booth.
We're
and
constantly
resell it.
refining,
Part of it
trying to do better.
is
Yeah.
we had 2 sons. We have 2 sons, and so we would love to go antiquing. So since they were little guys, the one son collected Planters peanuts. He's got a crawl space full of every
Of
Planters
Planters.
peanuts you could think of.
Oh,
The
wow.
other son
You got a
did
few things
Cracker
in there.
Jacks.
Yes.
So
yes.
we all had fun all together doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting
So-
enough. And when I was 10, 12, 14 years old, I collected Coca-Cola. That was
Wow,
my
you
first.
did?
My first real collection was anything Coke. Didn't matter
Yep.
what it was. If I
Oh
had
my
the word
gosh, that's
Coca-Cola
funny.
on the
Coca-Cola.
side, man, I
Yeah.
wanted
His room
McDonald's
was probably-
glasses.
Oh, he had it all. It
All
was,
in his room,
and he
right?
kind of did the same thing like what you were saying. He started off, I mean, we were collecting just little collector's glasses that you were getting for next to nothing. But then he started getting better and better pieces, which leads me to something that you have back here. You have a Coke machine back here that is phenomenal.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that piece?
Sure. Well, backstory about some of the Coke machines and so forth. When I was a young kid, we would vacation in Canada, and then after horseback riding and maybe playing putt-putt golf, and they had a nickel pop machine, and there wasn't any way I was leaving the cottage without my nickel.
Gotta have a nickel every time.
My parents would pay for the horseback riding and all the other stuff, but I always had my nickel.
Yes.
And I always wanted to get a
Was it
bottle
put
of
it
pop.
in, open the door, and pull it out of there?
Yeah, and from that point on, I was hooked.
You were hooked. How
Yeah,
many Coke
so-
machines have you owned?
Probably like 20.
20. Do you still
Yeah.
have most of them? Have you sold them, or
I think we have 7.
7? Okay.
Yeah, but I switched over. I mean, once you get into it, you start realizing that Pepsi's there, and you can't help but think, these guys were rivals, and it's just, they were totally, at each other's throat
Yeah.
this whole time, and it's just interesting. I think it forced them to do a lot of advertising, and that competition was really good, I think, for both companies.
Yeah.
So
and it made wonderful items to collect
Yeah.
because they're doing all the advertising and putting it on everything.
But I wouldn't just, at first I was like a Coke snob, but then I realized how important Pepsi was.
You have
So,
a couple of
I like
Pepsi
Diet Dr.
machines.
Pepper, but
yeah, anything, as we'll
yeah,
see in some of the, you'll see all the different, I'm not just particular, just a Coke. I love all.
So when we're done with this interview, we're going to add some footage of what's behind us, and we have I'm describing this right. The theme is country store items, things you would find at a country store. You got everything from baseball cards to chewing gum to fire hats to Coke items, Orange Crush. Can you talk about what's behind us? Like what's in the actual booth? How do you go about pricing it? What would you like to tell any of the customers that might come here and shop a little bit?
Do you want to talk about the Cracker Jack Mr. Peanut stuff? You just touched on it a little bit.
Well, I was going to mention the pie birds. Those
Yeah.
aren't really part of, the country store, but I do have a whole case of pie birds, and I actually love those.
Okay. Explain to a few what a pie bird
A
is. for
pie
someone that may
bird
not
is
know.
a little like China bird that has a hole in the beak or the head, and back in the old days when grandmas baked pies, they stuck that bird in the center. It doesn't have to be a bird. It could be any animal. It could be a chef. And to vent the pie.
To vent the pies.
Yeah.
So the
Keep it from
the
getting
heat
moist
would,
in the
would come
middle.
out, the steam would come
Yeah.
out and
So
through the beak of the pie birds. And those were popular in the 1920s, 30s,
Yeah,
40s.
yeah.
I'm assuming, correct?
Yeah.
Then they got
and-
so popular that Pillsbury actually included those in their flour bags, which
In
I
their
just
flour bags.
yes, which I just learned
Yeah. And
just this year.
there's
Isn't
so
it
many people
amazing?
that collect them. There's like conventions all over. I
Just
didn't
for
realize
the pie
how
birds.
exciting people.
So Jill is really excited about the pie bird.
Okay, but
We all
yeah.
have a passion.
And then,
Rich is new too,
Yeah.
and
And then she
but then there's all the great Coke and beer.
Then it's all his
advertising.
stuff after that.
Everything else is his, so I have nothing else to say.
But yeah, there's Jill does a lot of ice cream molds, chocolate
Oh
molds.
yeah, I have all the ice cream pewter molds.
She got hooked on those, so we have quite a bit of those. And
But you can continue on.
but yeah, I don't know. I think that I think the idea for us is, first of all, we're so excited to be here, Heart of Ohio, and I was really excited to have an end where we could pretty much promote the country store theme, because every booth doesn't give you that opportunity, but Jill and I both want to have some type of theme, and that's really what we're trying to accomplish here, is what not only selling products and educating people, and really what maybe was in a general store back in the day, but just kind of bringing that back to life.
Yeah.
And a lot of stories behind a lot of the items that we have. So
Yes.
I mean, it would take 2 days to go through, but basically there's pretty much a story behind
Every single
just
thing you
about
have.
yeah. Jill and I spent quite a bit. She retired about 2-3 years ago, and we're on the road 2 to 3 days a week. And we're
Okay, let's talk about this just for a minute. So currently you're on the road 2 to 3 days a week. How many hours a week do you work your booths? Do you work the antiques business, the buying and selling? Like, well, if you had to put a time on it,
I would just say a lot.
a lot. Is it
I
easier
think
to count the sleep and the not work instead?
Well, I think
fun,
that,
though.
I
It
think
is
that
fun.
we never really pictured us doing this. We never really thought we would be in antiques and collectibles when we retired. I mean, maybe a little bit, but nothing to the extent that we are. But we just both, she helps me find things I'm interested in. I help her find things that she's interested in, and we have a great time doing it.
Is there any story of all the thousands of things you bought, that just that one story that's like, this would be worth our viewers knowing? A fun story, something that made you laugh, or something crazy or whatever?
We have too many, but
well, give us a highlight.
One of the recent ones, and I'll let Jill tell you this about the item, but we were just coming back from Canada, Niagara on the Lake, and we had driven across the border, and we were heading through New York, and guess what? We look to the left and we see this tent, and there's all this furniture there.
Well, don't forget our car was packed already.
So you already got a car earlier.
We had no room for anything, right?
So anyway, I'll let you tell the story then.
So we pull up, and we didn't even know who the stuff belonged to. So we called it. There's like an auction house next to it. We call the number. The guy's like, you're at my tent? And I said, yeah, I see a lot of stuff I really want. And he's like, I'll be right over. And the stuff had gotten like wet. And anyway, we found several items. We couldn't pass it up. One was a huge chest that I think I showed you a picture of today.
Yeah.
Unusual. It was 1920s Depression era chest. And so he goes, I said, don't worry. He goes, you're never going to get that in your car, this guy. I said, you don't know Kevin. He can do anything. And the guy said, I know, you can, Jill. He goes, you can ride on the top. I'll tie you down. I said, this isn't Christmas vacation. And so he's like, I'm leaving. You guys take what you want. I hope you get it in. So I called him about an hour later. Guess what? We couldn't fit it in. You were right. He goes, that's okay. You can come back and get it. So we made a whole other trip all the way to New York, 4.5 hours to pick up this chest that I had to have.
It was a Depression chest?
Yes, we just got, I mean, this all happened within the last week. So we actually made two trips. We got home, we took what we could, but we didn't have room for this chest. So when we went back, and instead of just, and I would probably tell everybody this, you got to make life fun.
Yeah.
We decided that we would, instead of just going back and picking a piece of furniture up and driving 4.5 hours there and 4.5 hours back, that we would plan some fun in between. So
let's talk about the fun part just a minute here, because when we were buying in Europe, we would always, like, our fun was where we were going to eat.
Exactly.
It was like, at the end of the day, where are we getting our chocolate eclair at? Where are we getting our good food at?
Yep.
And then we made
the nail on the head.
We've made that part of our journey, is like, we're going to do all this hard work, but then we're really going to we're going to spend some really fun, enjoyable time. So what did you guys do?
So our first stop from Columbus back, we within a couple hours, we stopped at Debani, which is I'm sorry.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a winery in northern Ohio, actually near. It's
my favorite.
Near
Little
Geneva.
local rouge in Columbus.
So one of the things is
you would love it. It's in Cleveland, but
Cleveland. Okay. Yeah, sounds fun.
But yeah, just like you said, and then from there, we have our favorite places where we like to stop and kind of look for items.
So a little wine tasting mixed with some antiquing.
Got it all done.
That sounds so fun. I mean,
it gets better. It gets better. So instead of driving all the way back that night, I had planned that we would stay over at the lodge at Geneva on the Lake.
Okay.
And that's what we did, and woke up and next day and
bought more stuff.
Yeah. We had breakfast. We bought more stuff.
Oh, that's so
fun.
And
we just took our time coming home. And actually, I found a place that had 18,000 Coke items, and I had no idea that it even existed.
It's in an old house.
Time there, didn't you?
Well,
yes, we did.
Was it like a private collection?
Nervous. This guy had a house full of it. He was like a hoarder.
Okay.
But
Don't say he's a hoarder. He's just an organized collector.
He's an organized collector.
She calls me a hoarder. So yeah,
you're
not
a hoarder at
No,
all.
not at all.
Organized
Look, no.
Wow.
We're an organized collector.
We're an organized collector. There you go. But that was just one story.
They're talking about being a hoarder. We have a lady that works for us. She's retired now, but she had worked for us for a long time. She calls herself an organized collector, but truly, she's on the verge of being a hoarder. She says she has 1 million pieces of costume jewelry hanging in her home. And we went in there one day and we looked. I didn't count it, but
You believed her?
I believe her. There was
She
no more
counted
arguing.
everything.
So I get it. The organized hoarder, we understand. The organized collector, it's perfect.
You just pack it with whatever you can do. I mean, as much as you possibly can.
That is so fun.
And I think when you just put everything together, I think when you stand back, it's got to look like you want it to look. I think everybody has a different idea of what a booth should look like, and some people say there's too much, some people say there's too little, some people whatever.
This booth that we are in front of, this is 5109. So if you're
5141.
5141.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
So if you're coming in the antique center, and when you go in the big entrance, you turn right, and
Yep.
then you're going to go down the first building on the left. This is the end cap, and so
Yep.
that's what he was talking about. He wanted to get that in space. And what I love about you guys being here is like everyone wants to come into this building because of what this looks like. It
that's-
looks
Well,
so
thank
good
you.
here.
Too nice.
No, I'm
Yeah.
not. I mean, you guys
We
do an
hear it all the
incredible.
time.
The sweat equity
It's
and
really
that you
nice.
guys put in, rearranging so that everything is perfect. I hope our viewers could come and appreciate, even if you don't buy anything out of this booth, just look at the love they put into this booth, the passion of collecting that they have. And this is like for me as an owner of the Antique Center, I love customers, dealers, vendors like you guys because you have pride in what you do. You've got a story behind it. You've got a passion behind it. And we want to help promote your stuff to the world,
nice.
and let them
you.
come and buy. Because I mean, this you
Hey,
guys.
the more
are-
you guys
are
buy,
perfect.
the more we can go buy.
I mean, they can buy more stuff.
Yeah, but every week, we try to bring something new, and
Every week.
yeah, we try.
I think
we
you
try
do more than one time a week.
Yeah,
Probably two.
Yeah,
Zach,
But,
I've seen you twice in the past.
yeah,
twice this
We
week.
can't
It's only
stay
day two.
away.
but it's fun. We have a good time, and we're happy to be here.
Anything else you'd like to tell our viewers, about your booths or?
Well, I had a funny thing happen to me today.
Okay.
So I'm doing a centerpiece in my dining room for Thanksgiving, and I'm looking for a long, skinny mirror. So I went through the whole booth, realized I could buy it from myself because I actually had the same one I was actually looking for.
You found one.
Okay,
It was in your
I
own
found
booth.
one. I couldn't believe.
She had everybody here looking.
Well, we hope that you bought that.
I thought.
She finally found it.
Boosting sales that way, right?
I've heard of someone trying to help their sales out, but
I
never
know.
thought about buying your own merchandise
Crazy.
so your sales
Not
are
sure how the profit
He's
margin
like,
works.
oh my
but
gosh, really? So I had to
That is so fun.
tell you guys about.
Well, guys,
that.
listen.
There's one other thing
go ahead.
that I wanted you to just mention: the motorized bike that you
Oh, yeah.
have with the Weezer on it.
Okay,
That's
yeah.
an awesome piece. If
Okay,
he's got
so-
just a second.
I didn't grow up with the Weezer era, but her dad was just fascinated with the Weezer bikes. And one of the things that I enjoyed is just listening to him tell us stories about when he was on his Weezer bike and with his brother and so forth. Well, anyway, long story short, he's since passed, but I was able to find that Weezer. And
Oh, wow.
And you got to
It's a beautiful,
redo it. It's beautiful.
beautiful
Yes, it's
piece.
back
It's,
there.
actually
it's
behind
on-
the
in the
country
booth.
store. Here
Yeah.
in
It's
the
right
booth.
here in the booth. You can
Yeah.
step in and see it.
It's on a
wonderful.
Roadmaster 1948 Roadmaster frame. It's got the 1952 Weezer motor. It's probably 95% original. So it was just kind of fun to be able to find something like that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a great piece.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that here. Well, guys, listen, if you're enjoying our podcast, our videos here, we ask you to continue to subscribe, share this with your friends, and then come and visit us here at the Heart of Ohio Antique Center. There's nothing like actually walking into this place, 122,000 square feet of antiques for sale. That's right at 1 mile under roof. You can walk and see stuff. And this is what you're getting, personality and love in our booths. We have incredible dealers here, and we appreciate these guys. Again, at
We
Heart of
appreciate being here.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Thank you.
At Heart of Ohio Antiques and at Burner Brother Antiques. Follow us, subscribe to our channels. We appreciate it.
The sign.
Okay. So we are entering in here into the booth. We're gonna do a quick walkthrough. We just talked about all these things. We got some still photos in there, but look at this Weezer bike. This is unbelievable. And they just have great advertising literally everywhere in this booth. They try and bring unique items in for people to buy, and the passion and love that they just shared. Like that's what it's about, guys. Have fun with what you're doing. This business has enough room for everyone in it. There's no reason to not promote each other. So I love promoting our dealers here, and just it's really good. But anyways, look at this, just everywhere. Orange Crush, check it out. Gorgeous Orange Crush. Vintage ball players. Vintage lunch boxes here. the old soda bottles in the bottom. Turn it back around. Here's the case on the back side. This is inside of the country store now.
So I figured you'd know something
And
about
you guys come check this booth out as soon as you can here at the Heart of Ohio Antique Center. Kevin and Jill have put so much time and love into this booth.